I never imagined that my life would split into two parts, before the truth and after the truth. But it happened on a quiet Thursday afternoon in late September, in an apartment that still smelled like cinnamon coffee and lavender spray, with soft jazz playing in the background, the same playlist I used to play when I wanted the space to feel warm and safe. Safe. Funny word. I didn't know yet that safety could be an illusion built on someone else's lies. What I heard that day didn't just break my heart, it erased the last 3 years of my life. But before I tell you what destroyed everything, let me start with the moment it all snapped. I was standing outside my fiancé's living room, coffee tray in my hand, keys still dangling from between my fingers, when I heard him tell his sister, "I love her kindness, but I'm not attracted to her anymore. I'm just waiting for the right time to end things without causing drama." Then he laughed. And his sister said, "Well, after she finishes helping you with the residency recommendation letters, right?" His answer? Exactly. It would be stupid to leave before that. But in that moment, something inside me went silent, completely still, ice cold. I stepped inside, placed the coffee tray on the table, looked him in the eyes, and said, "The right time is now." Before I tell you how everything unfolded after that moment, and trust me, it gets much darker, let me pause for just a second. Because if you're new here, or if you've ever had to gather every ounce of courage to walk away from someone who quietly betrayed you, this space is for you. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If my story speaks to you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us grow this community so we can bring more powerful stories from around the world. Your help means everything. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. Now, let's continue. And I'll warn you, what comes next isn't pretty. Before I tell you how everything unfolded after that moment, and trust me, it gets much darker, let me pause for just a second. Because if you're new here, or if you've ever had to gather every ounce of courage to walk away from someone who quietly betrayed you, this space is for you. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If my story speaks to you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us grow this community so we can bring more powerful stories from around the world. Your help means everything. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. Now, let's continue. And I'll warn you, what comes next isn't pretty. My name is Amina Carter, and I'm 31 years old. For most of my adult life, I believed in people too easily. I believed in kindness, effort, loyalty. I believed that if I cared deeply, others would naturally be the same. That belief nearly ruined me. I was living in Riverton Heights, a calm and slightly overpriced neighborhood outside Seattle, with a man I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. Dr. Landon Hale, a rising medical resident everyone adored. He was brilliant, soft-spoken, charming in a quiet, reserved way. 3 years with him had convinced me that he was the type of man who would build a stable home, raise gentle children, and grow old laughing beside me. I supported his residency exams. I stayed up late quizzing him. I drove him to night shifts. I helped him prepare presentations. And last month, I drafted letters for him, recommendations from mentors he didn't have the time to write. He told people I was his rock. What I didn't know was that I had become his stepping stone instead. That afternoon, I had left for a meeting with one of my freelance design clients. Halfway there, I realized I forgot my portfolio folder. Landon thought I'd be gone until evening. His sister, Sierra, had stopped by to help with wedding planning. Right, wedding planning. If weddings could walk, ours would have been dragging itself across the floor, exhausted and bruised, because I was the only one carrying it. I walked into the building, up the hallway, and as I reached the door, I heard him. I heard this man I loved talk about me like I was a project he was tired of. He said my name the way someone says expired milk. Not angry, not hurt, just dismissive. Honestly, he said, she just doesn't do it for me anymore. I don't feel anything when she kisses me. Haven't for months. Remember that sister hummed sympathetically. She's sweet though. She's convenient, he corrected. Convenient. Not loved. Not cherished. Convenient. Like a charger, or a spare tire, or a placeholder. And after the letters go through, he continued, I'll figure out a clean exit. Something adult, mutual, respectful. You know how it is. Sierra scoffed. At least wait until you get that interview with Dr. Remington. She's the one writing the evaluation, right? Yeah, Amina's helping with that too, he laughed. And after that, bye. All strong. I froze in a hallway, not because of shock, but because of clarity. Everything I ignored suddenly snapped into focus. The way Landon always avoided making time for me. The way he deflected whenever I asked how he felt. The way he said he was tired every night for months. The way he let me carry every emotional burden while he drifted. Strong. He wasn't drifting. Strong point. He was preparing to leave. But he wasn't going anywhere until he got what he wanted from me. So I stepped forward, opened the door, and placed the coffee tray gently on the table. Landon's eyes went wide. Sierra's face drained of color. Strong point. Amina, he said, I thought you were. The right time is now. Strong. Dead. Silence. Strong. And Sierra grabbed her purse. I'll just give you two some space. She fled like a guilty witness. Strong. Landon stood there pale as winter. Amina, he whispered. How much did you hear? Amina. All of it. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Strong. Amina, please, that wasn't... Those were... I was just talking. I didn't mean. Strong. You didn't mean you're not attracted to me? I asked quietly. You didn't mean you're waiting until after I finish my work for you before leaving? You didn't mean I'm convenient? He flinched like I slapped him. Strong. You're twisting it. Landon, I whispered. You twisted it the moment you used me. He took a step toward me. Strong. Amina, you're overreacting. Every couple goes through phases. Every person vents to their siblings. You're taking it entirely out of context. My jaw clenched. Out of context? I laughed without humor. You said you weren't attracted to me. What's the context where that becomes a compliment? He winced. You're being dramatic. There it was. The oldest, most predictable trick in the book. Invalidate the person you hurt so you don't have to face what you did. I stayed calm. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being done. His entire posture stiffened. Amina, don't do this. Don't make a rash decision based on one overheard conversation. One? My voice softened. Landon, how long have you been planning to leave? He froze. And the hesitation, the brief flicker of guilt, was all the answer I needed. Months, I whispered to myself. You've been checked out for months. He ran a hand through his hair. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Suddenly, he grabbed my hands. Amina, please, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said stupid things. I was frustrated. I was overwhelmed. Residency is hard. You know that. You didn't just say stupid things, I replied softly. You said your truth. No, he shook his head, voice cracking. I love you. I swear I do. You love the help I give you, I corrected. You love the stability, the convenience. You love what I bring to your life. But you don't love me. Tears filled his eyes. Amina, please, don't do this. Don't throw away everything we've built. You threw it away, I said, pulling my hands back. I'm just acknowledging the reality you created. I walked to the bedroom and started packing a small duffel bag. He followed me, voice trembling. Amina, please, talk to me. I listened to you talk, I replied coldly. You said everything you needed to. I can fix this, he pleaded. We can go to therapy. We can work through it. We can? I don't want a partner I have to convince to be attracted to me. That's what happened, because there was nothing he could say to that. 20 minutes later, I walked out with my bags. He trailed behind me. Amina, please. Where are you going? Somewhere you can't use me. Somewhere you can't use me. I went to my friend Layla's condo downtown, where the air smelled like eucalyptus oil and her cat glared at me from behind the couch. So pretty, I stayed there 3 nights. And on the morning of the 4th day, my phone buzzed nonstop. 22 missed calls, 6 voicemails, a dozen texts. But the one message that made my stomach twist was from Layla, who rushed into the living room holding her phone. Amina, she said, have you seen this? Strangely. Seeing what? She turned the screen toward me. It was Sierra, posting on Instagram. A long story post, black background, dramatic font, crying emojis. My brother's fiancé left him heartbroken at the worst possible time. She walked out just because he had a stressful moment. Please send him love during this heartbreaking time. A stressful moment. That's what they called it. The twisting in my stomach hardened into anger. Burning, rising anger. I'm going home, I said, grabbing my keys. Strong, what waited for me was much worse than an Instagram post. Much worse. When I reached our apartment building, the lobby smelled like fresh paint and wet concrete. The kind of scent you'd expect in a place where everything looks polished, even when the people inside it are falling apart. I stepped into the elevator, my fingers trembling just a little. Not from fear, not anymore, but from a sense of finality. A clarity that came with grief. A grief that was turning into something colder, sharper. I unlocked the apartment door slowly, and the moment it opened, my heart dropped. Not because of Landon, but because of who was sitting on my couch. His mother. His mother, Dr. Camille Hale, a woman I had worked years to make proud. A woman whose approval I once thought would be my crowning glory, sat stiff-backed, arms folded, jaw clenched like she was biting down on a lemon. And beside her, Landon, red-eyed, unshaven, looking at me like I had betrayed him. Oh, Camille said, her voice clipped. She finally shows up. The anger I had carried with me settled in my chest like a brick. I didn't step inside fully. I didn't close the door behind me. I just stared at them. Why are you here? I asked. Camille scoffed, as if you don't know. I tilted my head. Enlighten me. She stood up, straightening the lapels of her beige trench coat, her power coat, the one she wore when she wanted to intimidate someone. You abandoned my son during the most stressful period of his career, she snapped. You walked out like a child, and now he's in pieces. This is your idea of mature conflict resolution? Camille, I said softly, your son told someone he's not attracted to me and is waiting for the right moment to leave after using me. That's what happened. She stared at me, blinking, expression blank. Then she burst into laughter. Not amused laughter, mean laughter. Oh, sweetheart, she said, putting a hand on her hip. People say foolish things when they're stressed, and you know how close he is to Sierra. Siblings vent. Siblings exaggerate. You should know better than to take every word literally. Something must happen. So your stance, I said slowly, is that I should have ignored him saying he's no longer attracted to me. Sorry. There it was, The problem wasn't their betrayal. Sorry. The problem was my reaction to their betrayal. Classic deflection. Landon finally stood up. His voice was quiet, broken. I didn't mean any of it. I swear I didn't. I was frustrated. I said things without thinking. Without thinking? I asked. You said you were waiting to leave me after I helped with your residency letters. How do you say that without thinking? Huh? He looked away. His mother stepped in between us. No, Camille said firmly. Absolutely not. You don't get to twist his words. Landon has always supported you. He helped you with your freelance business. He introduced you to clients. He uplifted you. And this is how you repay him? I blinked. He uplifted me? Strong, Camille crossed her arms. Yes, without Landon's contacts, you wouldn't have half the clients you have. You owe your career to him, and that hit me like a slap. Because it wasn't just cruel, it was a lie. A deliberate lie. I built my business from scratch. My clients found me on their own. I never once used Landon's contacts. I don't owe him anything, I said quietly, and I'm not coming back. Camille rolled her eyes. Young people today throw relationships away like trash. No resilience, no emotional maturity. Emotional maturity? I repeated. His venting included telling someone he isn't attracted to me anymore, and planning to leave once he got what he wanted. Camille's expression sharpened. You're twisting. Again. Sorry for waiting, fool, but this time I'm seeing clearly. Landon suddenly stepped around his mother. No, he said, voice shaking. No, Amina, stop talking like this. Please. Yes, I can't lose you. I didn't mean any of it. I wasn't thinking straight. I promise you, I love you. I want you. I need you. It would have been convincing if his eyes didn't dart to his mother's face after every sentence, as if checking whether he was saying the right thing. I studied him. This isn't about losing me, I said softly. This is about losing the support I gave you. His face froze. Then his mask cracked. His shoulders slumped. His expression hardened. His eyes went cold, and in the coldest voice he had ever used with me, he said, Fine, if that's how you want to see it, then do whatever you want. There, that tone, that was the real Landon. Not the man who begged, not the man who apologized, the man who calculated. Camille looked satisfied. Amina, she said, walking past me toward the door, you're making a huge mistake, but go ahead. Destroy everything. Landon deserves someone stronger. I didn't say a word. I didn't look at her. I just stepped aside and let them leave. When the door clicked shut behind them, the apartment felt heavier than ever. Not sad, not empty, just clear. Brutally clear. I packed the rest of my essentials, called a storage service, locked the apartment, and walked out of that life. 2 days later, Layla shook me awake. Amina, you need to see this. My heart dropped, but nothing could have prepared me for what I saw on her screen. A long Facebook post from Landon. Public. With hundreds of sympathetic comments. Already, my fiancé left without explanation. She won't answer my calls. She hasn't said a single word to me since she ran out on me. I love her deeply, and I'm devastated. Please keep me in your prayers during this heartbreaking time. My heart pounded. Layla clenched her teeth. He's making you the villain, she whispered. He was turning this into a sympathy parade. He was rewriting the story. He was hiding what he'd done, and people, family, friends, coworkers, were flocking to comfort him. My chest tightened. How could he? My voice cracked for the first time in days. How could he flip everything like this? Layla put an arm around me. Because people like him always choose whatever version makes them look like the victim. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from mutual friends. Voicemails from people asking if I was okay. Messages. Like a strong peachy torn apart. When you hear Mom say, "You're torn apart," he's not eating. He keeps asking about you. His mom said, "You're going through emotional instability." Another tactic. But then came a message that made everything crystal clear. You shouldn't have come at him like that. He didn't mean any of it. You ruined everything. Beep beep. Ruined everything. As if I were the one who betrayed. And that's when I realized this wasn't going to be a breakup. This was going to be a war. 2 days later, I went back to the apartment early to collect more belongings before making the lease changes. But the moment I opened the door, my stomach knotted, because it wasn't just Landon waiting for me. It was his entire family. His mother, his father, his sister, even his Aunt Lisa, the one who always smelled like peppermint gum and judgment. They all turned to stare at me like I was a criminal entering a courtroom. His father spoke. First, "Amina, we need to talk." "No," I said calmly, "we don't." Camille scoffed and crossed her legs. Camille scoffed. "You've been incredibly immature, Amina, but we're willing to help you make things right." Make things right. As if I broke something. Landon stood awkwardly near the kitchen island. Puffy eyes, red nose. But I didn't buy it. I wasn't going to pity someone who pitied me in private. His mother spoke again. "You owe Landon an apology." My eyebrows lifted. An apology for what? For abandoning the relationship, she said sharply. For running away instead of working through issues like an adult. You humiliated him. Slander charged properly. They had no idea what humiliation meant. So I said, "Camille, your son said he wasn't attracted to me and was waiting for the right time to leave after using me. He said that, out loud, to someone else." Everyone turned to Landon. His eyes widened. "Amina, I told you I didn't mean." "You didn't deny it," I cut in. Silence. His Aunt Lisa finally said quietly, "Landon, did you really say that?" He swallowed hard. I was stressed. I swear, it didn't mean anything. Camille jumped in immediately, like a lawyer defending a guilty client. "See? He explained it. He didn't mean it. It was heat of the moment nonsense." "You're the one twisting his words." I looked at her. Then I looked at him. And I felt nothing but disgust. "Take whatever story helps you sleep at night," I said. "But I'm not staying in this relationship." His father stood up. "You will not walk away after 3 years over one conversation." "I already did," I replied. "And nothing you say will change that." Camille scoffed. "You're making a mistake. A huge one. You'll never find someone like Landon again." I smiled faintly. "Good." Their faces tightened. Landon suddenly stepped forward. "Amina, please. I'm begging you. Don't leave me. Don't throw this all away." "I didn't throw it away," I whispered. "You did." Then I collected my things, ignoring every glare, every scoff, every accusation. And as I walked out, I heard Camille mutter behind me, "She'll regret this. Mark my words." I closed the door. I didn't look back. That night, Layla sat across from me on her velvet couch eating spicy ramen while I stared blankly at my phone. More posts. More sympathy comments. More poor Landon. More Amina must be mentally overwhelmed. One of his cousins even shared a vague post about women who can't handle pressure. But the first real blow? A text from my own mother. She wrote, strong, "Why did you leave Landon?" His mother called me. She says you had an emotional breakdown. Emotional breakdown. There it was again. A neat little narrative. A perfect way to dismiss the truth. I took a deep breath and called my mother. She answered immediately. "Amina, why are you doing this? People think—" "Stop," I said gently. "Just stop. I'm not the one melting down. Landon is the one who betrayed me. She fell silent, then whispered, "Tell me what happened." I did. Every detail. And by the end, she wasn't angry anymore. She was quiet, still, breathing slowly. "Amina," she said softly, "you did the right thing." The tears I had been holding back finally fell. Not because I was sad, but because someone finally believed me. The next week was a blur. Work, packing, phone calls, emails, nights at Layla's, long walks to clear my head. I thought Landon had reached peak manipulation. I was wrong. He escalated, hard. It started with a phone call from the apartment landlord. "Hi, Miss Carter. I received a concerning message from Landon. He says he feels unsafe with your belongings here and wants you removed from the lease." Removed from the lease. Of the apartment we shared. Together. "You can't remove me," I said immediately. "I'm on the lease." "I know," the landlord replied. "That's why I called you first. Legally, I can't take you off unless there's a police report, and I don't think that's the case." "No," I said firmly, "it's not." "Good," he said. "Just wanted you to know." Something strange is happening on his side. Strange? No, it was predictable. Every manipulator resorts to escalation when their smear campaign doesn't work. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. "What is he playing at?" I whispered. Layla answered from the kitchen. "A game he's about to lose." I didn't know how right she was, because the next blow he swung was aimed directly at my career. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was sketching a logo for a new client. The number was unfamiliar. "Hello? Amina Carter?" a man asked. "Yes, this is Michael Kane from the Riverton Community Arts Grant Committee. We received an anonymous complaint accusing you of submitting projects late and using grant resources improperly." My heart stopped. "What? That's not true." He sighed. "I know, your records are clean, but we're required to ask." My chest tightened. Anonymous complaint. Incorrect allegations. Bad timing. It was him. It had to be him. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. Layla saw my face and rushed over. "What happened? Amina, what happened?" I explained everything. She listened, jaw clenched, hands balled into fists. When I finished, she said quietly, "Okay, no more waiting. No more being quiet. It's time." "Time for what?" I asked. Layla's eyes darkened. "And start fighting." I sat there on Layla's couch with the phone still in my hand, feeling the edges of the world tilt slightly. I wasn't anxious, not exactly. It was more like disbelief wearing a thin coat of anger. A grant committee? Really? That was his next move? Layla stood over me, arms crossed, chin tilted like a woman preparing for battle. "Amina," she said, "this man is going all out. He wants chaos. He wants your silence. He wants you cornered so you run back to him. But you're not doing that. So now he's desperate." "I know," I whispered. "Good," she said, dropping onto the couch next to me. "Because desperate men always make mistakes. Big ones." I stared at the blank TV screen across from us. My reflection looked unfamiliar. Deeper in the eyes, sharper in the jaw, tired but focused. I wasn't the same woman who used to wake up early to make Landon breakfast while he rolled over and half mumbled his thanks before returning to sleep. That version of me was gone. Layla nudged me with her elbow. "So what now?" "I'm going back to the apartment tomorrow," I said quietly, "before he tries anything else. Do you want me to come?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think I do." The next morning, the sky was gray and heavy, drizzles tapping the windshield as we pulled into the parking lot. The building looked exactly the same. Neutral stone glass balconies, planters overflowing with green ivy. But I didn't feel like I belonged here anymore. Walking up the stairs felt strange. like stepping into another woman's life. When I unlocked the door, the first thing I heard was laughter. Loud, exaggerated, familiar. Sierra. I inhaled deeply. Layla leaned close. Do you want me to go in first? I shook my head. I've got this. I pushed open the door. Sierra and Landon were sitting on the couch with takeout containers spread across the coffee table. The moment they saw me, the laughter died instantly. Sierra's expression turned sharp. Oh, you're here. Landon stood up quickly. Amina, hey. I said softly. Stepping inside, I came to pack the rest of my things. Sierra rolled her eyes. Seriously? You're still doing this dramatic breakup routine? Pete. Layla stepped inside the doorway behind me, arms crossed. Aura screaming, don't test me. Set my keys on the counter. This isn't drama. This is me leaving a situation that isn't healthy. Pete. You're overreacting, Sierra said. You took one little vent session and turned it into a whole meltdown. Real relationships require work. Using someone for months and planning to leave them after is not work, I replied calmly. That's manipulation. Strong. Sierra let out a short laugh. You think you're the first woman my brother has complained about? Couples talk. People vent. That's life. So I asked her, saying I was convenient. I asked. Did he tell you he was waiting until he got everything he needed before ending things? She looked at Landon. He looked at the floor. Layla stepped forward. Exactly. Sierra's jaw tightened. Look, Amina, you're spiraling. You left him, humiliated him, ignored him, and now you want to act like the victim? Get real. The victim? My voice stayed calm, almost too calm. No, I'm the woman who saw the truth and chose to walk away. Landon set his food container down and rubbed his hands together nervously. Can we please not do this in front of your friend? Why? I asked. You had no problem trashing me in front of your sister. He flinched. Sierra scoffed again. Wow, the martyr act is strong today. Layla spoke before I could. She's not acting. She's reacting. Big difference. Sierra stood up from the couch. You know what? I'm over this. You left. He cried for days. He's actually trying to fix things. You're the one dragging this out. I stared at her for a moment. Then I said, Sierra, if your partner told people they didn't want you anymore and were planning to leave, would you stay? She froze. Just for a split second, but I saw it flicker across her features. No, she wouldn't. She would have run faster than I did. She recovered quickly. This isn't about me. Layla snorted. It never is. Landon stepped between us. Amina, please, just talk to me privately. No, I said, we don't need privacy. We need honesty. He took a shaky breath. Okay, then let me be honest. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said any of those things. I shouldn't have planned anything. I was insecure. I felt like you weren't as into the relationship as before. I blinked in disbelief. You're blaming me for your plan to leave me? No, that's not what I meant. Then say what you meant, I said. His voice cracked. I felt like you were drifting away. I stared at him, trying to remember a single moment in the past year where that was true. I found none. Layla muttered, He's reaching. Sierra shot her a glare. No one asked you. I ignored both of them. You felt like I was drifting away? I repeated carefully. So instead of talking to me, you decided to wait until you got everything you wanted before leaving? His eyes filled with frustration. Amina, I told you. I said stupid things. You should have talked to me first instead of running. And you should have respected me enough not to say those things behind my back, especially while planning a life with me. He ran a hand over his face. You're not listening. No, I said. I'm finally listening. Sierra let out another dramatic sigh. This is pointless. I turned to Landon. Sign the lease termination. I'll pay my half. After that, we're done. Sentence first 4. His jaw tightened. You're ending everything over one mistake? It wasn't one mistake, I whispered. It was months of pretending. Sierra stepped closer, her voice low. My brother is heartbroken. You're ruining his reputation. People think he's a monster. I looked straight into her eyes. That's not my doing. That's his truth. Continuing on, strong. She stiffened. You're unbelievable. And you're predictable, Layla shot back. Landon's voice cracked. Amina, don't leave me. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I felt absolutely nothing anymore. I already left. I walked past him into the bedroom and began packing. Shirts, sketchbooks, the little salt lamp I loved, my paintbrushes, the throw blanket from my grandmother, all of it went into boxes. Landon stood silently in the doorway the whole time, watching me fold pieces of my life. At one point, he whispered, "Remember when we first moved in? How excited you were, how happy we were?" "Yes," I said quietly, "and that's why this hurts." He swallowed. "Then don't walk away." I placed one last item in the box, a framed photo of us smiling on the pier 2 summers ago, and said, "I'm not walking away from us. I'm walking away from the version of you I just discovered." When I finished packing, I walked through the living room without another word. Sierra glared. Landon looked shattered. Layla carried a box out the door behind me. We loaded everything into her trunk, and when I closed the trunk door, I felt something shift inside me like a rope snapping loose. A tiny sense of freedom, but freedom always has a price. And the price came the next morning at 7 a.m. My phone lit up with 10 messages from numbers I didn't know. Most said the same thing. "You should be ashamed. How could you leave such a good man? Landon deserves better. You're unstable and cruel." One message stood out. "You need help." That one was from Camille. Another message said, "You threw your future away." That one was from Landon's aunt. The last message made my blood run cold. It said, "You think you can ruin his life without consequences? Watch what happens next." Then, no name, but I knew who it was. Sierra. Layla read the messages over my shoulder and whispered, "Amina, they're starting something." "I know," I said, exhaling slowly. "So, what are you going to do?" "That's break." I picked up my phone, stared at it for a long moment, and replied, "I'm going to finish something." And I meant it, because people always assume the quiet ones won't fight back. But they forget something important. Quiet doesn't mean weak. Quiet means watching. Quiet means listening. Quiet means waiting for the right moment. And I was done waiting. I was done being quiet. The thing about people who think they're untouchable is that they almost never see the brick wall until their face hits it. The morning after those threatening messages, I sat at Layla's dining table with my laptop open, a mug of tea going cold beside me. Rain tapped lightly against the windows, the kind of soft Seattle drizzle that made the city look like it was wrapped in glass. Layla came out of her room, tying her satin bonnet off, still in an oversized t-shirt and fluffy socks. She glanced at my screen, then at my face. "You didn't sleep," she said. "Not really." I looked up at her. "Would you rather I scream?" She shrugged. "Honestly, kind of, but I know you. This is your storm I face. So tell me, what's the plan?" I took a slow breath. "Step 1, I said. I need to protect myself. Properly. No more just reacting to whatever they do. I need structure." "Structure how?" I turned the laptop toward her so she could see my search results. "Lawyers," I said. "I'm done playing nice." By noon, I was sitting across from a woman named Attorney Caldwell in a small but tidy office downtown. Walls lined with books, little plant on her desk, silver streaks in her tight curls. She looked like someone who had seen everything and was annoyed by most of it. She clicked her pen and glanced down at the notes she'd taken. "So," she said slowly, "your ex-fiancé has attempted to have you removed from the lease. made an anonymous complaint to a grant committee, and his family has been contacting your family and harassing you by text. Yes, I said. She tilted her head. Do you have screenshots and records of all of this? Yes. Do you have any evidence of what he said that day? About using you and planning to leave. I hesitated. No audio, I said, but I can get a witness. Who? His sister, I said. She was there. The corner of Caldwell's mouth twitched like she wanted to laugh, but held it in. I wouldn't count on that, she said. She seems heavily involved in the smear campaign. Strong, I know, I replied, but she's not my only option. Who else was there? I smiled slightly. No one, but someone else knows. Her eyebrows rose. You're sure? Yes, I said. She called me. Caldwell leaned back. Go on. He's been asking his friends to lie for him, to say I was unstable, controlling, emotionally abusive. She told me everything. She knows exactly what he said that day and how he asked her to twist the truth. Is she willing to testify if needed? I don't know yet, I said, but I think so. She sounded tired of his drama. Caldwell nodded, pen tapping lightly on her notebook. All right, she said. Here's the situation, Amina. What he's doing right now is harassment and defamation adjacent, but it's slippery. He's not naming you outright in public posts, but everyone knows who he's talking about. He's setting you up as the villain. I know. She gave me a long, steady look. The law can protect you to an extent, she said, but it can't give you peace. That part is on you. So I need to ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest. So, okay. What do you actually want? I stared at her for a moment. No one had asked me that yet. Not what happened. Not, are you okay? Not, how can you forgive? What do you want? I thought about it carefully. I want him to stop, I said. I want his family to stop. I want them to know they can't just rewrite the story and attack me without consequences. She nodded slowly. Do you want to drag him through court? Do you want to destroy his career? Or do you just want distance and a clean break? I sat with the question. At first, I thought I wanted him to suffer. To lose everything. To feel as small and disposable as he made me feel that day in the living room. But if I was honest with myself, that wasn't really it. I don't want to destroy his career, I said quietly. That's not my style. I just want the truth to stand. I want to live my life without waking up to a new smear or lie. Caldwell smiled, just a little. Then here's what we can do. For the next 40 minutes, she laid it out. How to document everything. How to respond in writing, once and only once, with clarity. How to set legal boundaries with a formal cease and desist. How to disengage emotionally while still protecting myself practically. When she finished, she slid a printed document toward me. This, she said, is a draft of a letter I'll send to him and his family, if you approve it. It's not aggressive. It's not emotional. It's just firm. I scanned the pages. It outlined the harassment, the attempts to damage my reputation, the lease interference, and it stated plainly that any further lies, attempts to interfere with my work, or efforts to defame me would be met with formal action. No threats, just consequences. I looked up. Do it. Once I send this, she said, they may escalate emotionally, but they'll know you're not alone in this anymore. I'm not, I said, thinking of Layla. Not this time. As I left her office, the rain had stopped. The streets were damp and shining, catching the cloudy light like glass. I felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because, for the first time since overhearing that conversation, I wasn't just reacting. I was acting. 2 days later, everything began to shift. I was sitting at Layla's kitchen counter, editing a logo on my tablet, when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I hesitated, then picked up. Hello? Is this Amina? Yes, who's this? There was a pause. Then a soft voice said, It's Blair. I frowned faintly, trying to place the name. I'm a friend of Landon's, she said. We met at one of his birthdays. I'm the one who called you that day, remember? I straightened on the stool. Oh, yes, hi. I know this is random, she said, but I can't take it anymore. And I thought you should know what's happening. My stomach turned. What is happening? She took a shaky breath. He's still talking about you, she said, non-stop, to everyone. He's telling the story where you were emotionally unstable, where you abandoned him for no reason, where he tried so hard and you just ran. And now his mom is telling people you used him to climb up in your little art career. My grip on the phone tightened. Blair continued. That's not even the worst part, she said. He asked me again to post something about you, to back up his story. To say you were controlling and jealous, and that you tried to isolate him from his friends. I closed my eyes. Did you? I asked. No, she said immediately. No, I refuse again. I told him I'm not getting in the middle of his lies, and he flipped out, said I wasn't a real friend, said I was choosing you over him. I told him I'm choosing the truth over drama. I opened my eyes, staring at the pattern in Layla's countertop. He's spiraling, I whispered. Yeah, she said softly, he is, and I'm worried he might try something else, something bigger, so I wanted you to know. Just be careful who you trust right now, okay? Thank you, I said quietly. Honestly, thank you for telling me. She paused, then added, and if you ever need me to say what I heard that day, I will. It was wrong. And he knows it. After we hung up, I sat there with my phone pressed to the counter. Layla walked in, raising a brow. You look like you just saw a ghost. Not a ghost, I said. Just a mirror reflecting exactly who he is. Another week passed. The lawyer's letter went out. I got a copy in my email. Professional, efficient, and cold enough to make even me wince. Landon and his family received it the same afternoon. And just like Caldwell predicted, things escalated emotionally, but slowed legally. Camille sent me a long, furious message accusing me of weaponizing the system and ruining her baby's peace. Sierra fired off a string of texts calling me weak, dramatic, heartless, manipulative, and in need of serious therapy. I didn't reply to any of it. Not a word. For the first time in my life, I understood that silence could be louder than screaming. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. I was at a cafe in Riverton, working on my laptop, when someone slid into the seat across from me. I looked up, ready to snap, and froze. It was one of Landon's co-residents, Malik. We'd met a few times at dinners, group hangouts, hospital events. He was always kind, quick to joke, always respectful. A tall black man with thoughtful eyes and locks pulled back into a bun. He gave me a small, cautious smile. Mind if I sit? I glanced around, then nodded slowly. He folded his hands on the table. I'm not here to attack you, he said. I just wanted to tell you something. Off the record. Okay, I said quietly. He exhaled. So, Landon's been not himself at work. Distracted, emotional, talking too much. You can imagine. I can, I said. And see, because he's been telling our colleagues about the breakup, Malik continued, but some of the details in his story didn't sit right with me. Like what? Like how he keeps insisting you abandon him without warning, even though I remember him complaining about you long before that. And how he says you were emotionally unstable when every time I saw you, you were the calm one in the room. A strange mixture of gratitude and bitterness rose in my chest. I appreciate you noticing that, I said. He nodded. And then, I may not know everything, he said, but I know enough to say this. Not everybody's buying his version. Some of us see the pattern. You don't need to worry about us believing you're some sort of monster. My shoulders relaxed a fraction. Strong. Thank you, I said. It's been a lot. I can imagine, he said. One more thing. I shouldn't be telling you this, but his attending pulled him aside after a complaint came in. I stiffened. A complaint? About him talking about personal issues during rounds. Being distracted. Missing small details. Nothing huge, but enough that he was warned. He's cracking. Guilt flickered through me for half a second. Then I remembered the messages, the lies, the fake complaints, the way he treated my pain like an inconvenience that interrupted his timeline. And the guilt faded. He made his choices, I said softly. Malik studied me for a moment. You didn't deserve any of this, he said. For what it's worth, some of us are on your side. Even if it doesn't look like it publicly? Thank you, I whispered. That means more than you know. After he left, I sat there for a long time. I realized something important in that cafe. My revenge didn't need to be some grand theatrical scheme. I didn't need to hack his life apart piece by piece. All I had to do was tell the truth when it mattered. Peace, and let the truth do its work. That chance came sooner than I expected. 2 weeks later, my mother called. Her voice was tight. Amina. Yeah. Landon's mother called your aunt again. I sighed. Of course she did. She's telling people you're unstable, that you threatened him, that you're trying to ruin his career, my mother said. Your aunt was confused. She asked me if you were really doing all this. And what did you say? I told her the truth, my mother replied. But I think you need to say something too. I hesitated. Everything in me wanted to just disappear from their orbit, to let them spin themselves into oblivion. But silence can look like guilt to the wrong audience, and I was tired of being painted as a shadow figure in someone else's story. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I wrote a message. Not a vague social media post, not a rant. An email, carefully worded, measured, sent only to the people who were part of the inner circle of this mess. My parents, my aunt, his parents, his aunt, and 2 mutual family friends who'd reached out confused. I sat at Layla's desk with her hovering behind me as I typed. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't dramatize. I didn't insult. I just laid out what happened. How I went back to the apartment early and overheard him telling his sister he wasn't attracted to me anymore and was waiting for the right time to end things after getting what he needed. How his family dismissed my hurt and accused me of being dramatic. How his sister and mother tried to guilt me into staying despite his words. How an anonymous complaint suddenly appeared at my grant committee. How he tried to have me removed from the lease. How his family had been labeling me unstable without a shred of evidence. I ended the email with this. I am not asking anyone to choose sides. I am not interested in character assassination. I am simply refusing to be misrepresented. I will not be returning to this relationship, and I will no longer be engaging with anyone who continues to twist the truth to fit a convenient narrative. I wish Landon well in his career and his future, but I will not allow my name or mental health to be used as props in his story. I read it 3 times. Layla read it twice. Say it with your chest, she whispered. So I did. Then I hit send. The responses were mixed. My mother called me crying, saying she was proud of me. Strong, my aunt replied with a simple, "Thank you for explaining. I'm sorry you went through this." One of the older family friends sent back a heartfelt message about how people sometimes reveal themselves late, and how she hoped I would heal. Period. Landon's mother didn't respond directly. Period. But within hours, Landon did. The email came with no greeting. Period. You had no right to drag my career into this, he wrote. You're overreacting to a normal vent session. Now my family is questioning me, my colleagues are distant, and my reputation is shot. Are you happy? Because I'm not. After all this, he was still playing victim, still unable to see that his own choices were the problem. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the email to Caldwell, who responded with one line, "Do not engage." So, I didn't. I blocked his email address. Strong in. I blocked the new number he'd started texting from. I muted anyone who kept forwarding me screenshots of his vague posts. There comes a point where watching someone self-destruct stops being satisfying and just becomes sad. Even then, I hit that point about 3 weeks after the email. I had just finished setting up my little corner desk in my new apartment, a sunny, modest place south of the city with creaky wooden floors and a view of a park instead of a skyline. It smelled like fresh paint and new beginnings. I'd hung my own artwork on the wall, unpacked my candles, set my favorite mug beside my monitor. It finally felt like my space. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the name on the screen. It was unexpected, unknown, but recognizable. His father. I stared at the name for a long moment. Then I answered. "Hello?" "Amina," he said. His voice sounded older than I remembered, less booming, more tired. "This is Calvin." "I know," I said quietly. "I won't keep you," he said. "I just wanted to say, I got your email. I read it." Then I spoke to Landon. And then I spoke to Sierra, separately. My pulse quickened. "And?" I asked. "And it matches," he said slowly. "Your version matches details neither of them knew you knew." I pressed my lips together. On the other end of the line, he sighed heavily. "I'm not calling to apologize on his behalf," he said. "He needs to do that himself if he ever finds the humility. I'm calling to say I see it now. How we all made it easier for him to lie to himself, to you, to everyone." I stayed silent. "This is not the son I raised," he said quietly. "But it is the man he chose to be. And you were right to leave." There, those words. "You were right to leave." I felt something in my chest unclench. "Thank you," I whispered. "I also wanted to say," he continued, "that Camille will probably never admit it, but she knows. Deep down, she's just not ready to confront the fact that her son is capable of being cruel. But that's not your burden to carry. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said, a little stronger this time. "I do." He paused. "I hope you find someone better one day," he said. "Someone honest. Someone who doesn't need you to fix their mess." There was a faint noise in the background, like a door closing. "Take care, Amina," he said. "You too," I replied. We hung up. I stood there in my little sunlit apartment with my phone still in my hand, letting that conversation sink in. It didn't erase the pain. It didn't undo the humiliation. It didn't magically fix all the lies still floating around in private chats and side conversations. But it was something. Acknowledgement. And sometimes, acknowledgement is the quiet kind of justice that doesn't make noise, but makes breathing easier. Months went by little by little. The noise around Landon and me began to fade. People moved on to new drama, new engagements, new babies, new scandals. My work flourished. A client I'd taken on casually turned into a long-term contract with a boutique agency. They loved my style, my reliability, my calm. I redesigned 2 brand identities, did illustrations for a children's book, and even got invited to speak on a panel for young Black women creatives in the city. I met new people. Strong, I laughed again. People snail nesting. We turned our late-night kitchen talks into a low-key podcast that somehow found a small audience of women who felt like me, tired of being the stepping stone for someone else's ambition. Strong. And every now and then, someone would message me privately. Strong. I heard a bit about what happened with your ex. I just want you to know I'm sorry, and I'm glad you left. I never went digging for what exactly they heard. I didn't need to know. One evening, about 9 months after everything first blew up, I ran into Malik again outside the hospital. I was dropping off some printed materials for a wellness event I'd volunteered to design for. He spotted me, jogged over, and gave me that same careful, gentle smile. "Hey, stranger." "Hey," I replied. "You look good," he said. "Happier." "I am," I said. "Mostly." "You?" "Exhausted," he laughed, "but surviving." We chatted for a bit about nothing important. Then, as I was about to leave, he cleared his throat. "I thought you might want to know," he said, "that Landon finally admitted to some of it. Not all, but some." I raised a brow. "To who?" "To one of the attendings," he said. "He confessed he'd been taking personal drama out on the job, that he'd hurt someone he cared about, that he lied. They didn't punish him formally, but they made him get counseling. And they made it very clear that if he brought his mess into work again, there would be consequences." I looked at the hospital entrance. Through the sliding glass doors, I could see people in scrubs moving fast, pushing carts, checking charts. "Is he okay?" I asked eventually. "Depends how you define okay," Malik said, stuffing his hands into his pockets. "He's quieter now, less arrogant. Some people are still on his side, some aren't. That's his road to walk." "True," I said. He hesitated, then added softly, "You don't owe him your forgiveness. Don't let anyone pressure you into thinking you do. But I thought maybe you'd want to know he's not skating through all this untouched." I considered that. Then I nodded. "Thank you," I said. "Really?" He shifted his weight. "If you ever want to get coffee sometime," he said casually, "as friends or whatever, I wouldn't mind hearing more about your design work. My cousin's starting a business. Might need branding." I smiled. "Tell your cousin to email me," I said. "As for coffee, maybe, when the time feels right." He grinned. "No rush. Take care, Amina." "You too, Malik." As I drove home, the city lights blurred slightly in the drizzle. I thought about how different things were now. How the girl who once begged the universe for Landon to propose had vanished. How this version of me had boundaries, lawyers, a thriving career, a soft couch in a new apartment, and a best friend who snatched the phone from my hand whenever I even thought about checking my ex's socials. And I realized something important. My revenge didn't look like his downfall. It looked like my life, my real life. A life where my love isn't something to be milked or used or taken for granted. A life where my kindness isn't confused for weakness. A life where if someone doesn't know how lucky they are to have me, they simply don't. It was a quiet kind of revenge. No explosions. No screaming showdown in the rain. No dramatic courtroom scene. Just me. Breathing easier. Smiling more. Sleeping without jolting awake at 3 a.m. replaying old conversations. Building something real. The last time I heard about Landon, it was from Blair in a brief voice note. She'd said, "He's dating someone new now, but it's different. He's cautious, paranoid about being seen as the bad guy. Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's just scared. Either way, it's not your problem anymore. And I think that's the best part." She was right. He wasn't my problem anymore. He was just a chapter. A necessary one, maybe. The kind that burns you enough to make you set firmer boundaries. The kind that forces you to recognize your own worth, not as a reflection of how someone else sees you, but as something that exists on its own. One night, sitting on my couch with a blanket wrapped around my legs and my laptop balanced on my knees, I finally did something I'd been putting off for almost a year. I opened the old photo folder, the one with our vacation pictures. His graduation ceremony, our first apartment, that time we burned pancakes together at 2 a.m. and laughed until we cried. I hovered over the delete button for a long time. Then I asked myself, do I need these memories to remember the lesson? The answer was no. So I deleted them. Not in anger, not in bitterness. Just release. And in the folder disappeared, my desktop suddenly looked cleaner. My heart did too. Oh, I leaned back, closed my eyes, and exhaled. And if you're listening to this right now, wondering what any of this has to do with you, maybe you've been the convenient one, the stepping stone, the emotional support human, ... the one someone vented about while still letting you plan a future you didn't know they were scheduling an exit from. Maybe you're still standing in a hallway, coffee tray in hand, listening to someone you love tell the truth about you to someone else. If that's you, I want you to know this. Leaving is not overreacting. Protecting yourself is not cruelty. Strong, refusing to be used is not drama. And choosing yourself after someone shows you exactly how little they value you. That's not revenge. That's survival. Everything that came after for me, the lawyer, the emails, the boundaries, the silence, the healing, the new apartment, the growing business, the small moments of joy, those weren't about getting back at him. They were about getting back to myself. And if my story reaches you at the exact moment you need to hear it, then all of this, all of the hurt, has some kind of meaning. This is Revenge Stories, a place for quiet courage and real endings. If my journey spoke to you, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. Help us grow this community so we can keep bringing you powerful, honest stories from women all over the world. Your support truly matters. Your voice matters here. And never forget this. Your story matters too.